Started from the bottom, now we're here. Welcome back to the 10th episode of the Pokemon White Shiny Badge Quest Nuzlocke. So much has happened last episode, but the exploration and heart-pounding battles have yet to cease. Get ready for the final Nuzlocke episode for a long while. Enjoy. Coming back to Nuvema Town, a lot has happened since we saved the region from Team Plasma. Looker is now our stepdad and gives us a super rod as a present. Cedric rolls up too. I guess he got kicked out of the retirement home. He gives us the National Dex upgrade, which isn't too helpful, but we take it, I guess. The main addition we now get is the expansion of the in-game routes. We now get full access to the east side of Unova, and we get some more destinations to hit on our way to the finale. We begin to head east from Nimbasa, and we bump into the Shadow Triad on the Marvelous Bridge. This time they give us some orbs for the Sinnoh Creation Trio instead of jumping us. Nice. After leaving the Marvelous Bridge, we arrive in White Forest. There's some pretty neat encounters here, but nothing of note. Onwards to Route 14. This route has the sauce, high-level Audino, lots of trainers to grind experience on, and various helpful items. After grinding Sneck and Home Slice a bit so they can go toe-to-toe with the new trainers, I head east from Opelousas to check out Route 11. Truthfully, Route 11 wasn't too interesting and we breezed right past it. We did beat some optionals for experience though. Similarly, we went directly through Route 12 so we can hear the Lacunosa town music as soon as possible. Absolute banger, top 3 track, easily. We don't waste any time though. Let's hit Route 13. We'll be collecting some very important items here. Most notably, another lucky egg to make grinding easier. This guy with the suit has a low drop rate to give lucky eggs and other rare items at a rate of 1 per day. So, with the item being randomized by seed, I saved in front of him and it took 30 minutes for him to fork over the egg. Score! On the other hand, there's going to be a super helpful TM we need on this route too. On the overhead bridge, the Wingull and its girl lost their grams, so we need to feed their addiction and get them back. This one umbrella chick stole one of them, and the other 2 were on the ground somewhere. They must be desperate. Regardless, the Wingull takes the grams and dips and leaves the U-turn TM for us in return. All my morals went down the drain for this beaut of a TM. Clearing out the rest of Route 13 was pretty fun, and Home Slice was able to gain a lot of experience as well. Moving on though, we pop into the Giant Chasm through Lacunosa Town after moving the Strength Boulder. Outside of a lot of helpful random items, we woke up Kyurem for fun, and then Home Slice put him to sleep. Nighty night. I had my fun exploring, but now it's time to get back to business. We have one last shiny member to hunt. I head back to Route 10 where I can encounter lots of Pokemon at once in the dark grass, and after a respectable 2 phases I'm able to secure my 10th member, Rufflet. I want my board plays off of an Iron Man reference, and speaking of Iron, let's gander at this guy's stats. 24 in HP, 13 in attack, 31 in its boosted defense, 29 in its lowered special attack, 11 in special defense, and 0 in speed. While our bird may be the slowest bird in the flock, we got the bulk to back it up. Special attack isn't the most important stat, which is good, but unfortunately we could have a higher attack stat. Oh well, a board is a board. With the board in possession, I take it upon myself to start one of the longest grinding sessions yet. Welcome to Grind Chasm. With some of the highest level Audinos in the game, I have an 85% chance of finding Audino in the rustling grass spots, and the Metagross, Clefable, and Mamoswine that appear for the other 15% pose a massive threat to my members. I tried my best to switch train with the 2 Lucky Egg members, leading with a lower level one as I went. When I ran into the 15%ers, I switched into a Smokeball tank that would ensure that I get away okay. In hindsight though, I probably should have grinded for some EXP point powers to make it a little bit more efficient. Live, waste 8 hours grinding, and learn, I guess. I prioritized beefing up my bulky boys first, while my Dino and Rufflet gradually got bigger. I grinded for a bit, then realized I was gaining HP EVs on Puff and Board. I quickly looked up their optimal base stats and pumped them with as many relevant EVs as I could. Continuing the grind, after a scoffable 3.5 hours, I managed to evolve the board. Move over, Archeops, we got a new assassin in the aviary. Braviary might not be the fastest fowl in the flock, but dude has attack like Chop Chop. He's gonna send his opponents to the gulag, that's for sure. The grind goes on. Audinos just keep racking up. Him, her, him, bodies. Okay, anyways, we eventually get to the point where Puff can get a little bit more magical. Two heads do be more than one. Greener is cleaner. Puff is the stuff. What can I say? Back to the grind. You thought we would evolve Puff at 64 like a good little Nuzlocker. Oh, but no. Having to cancel the evolution manually since we need to hold the Lucky Egg instead of an Everstone, we grind Swilus all the way up to 71, where he learns the all-powerful Outrage. Then, the time finally came for Puff to let loose. After holding it in like gas after Taco Bell, Puff finally unleashes his true power. Having a 600 base stat total pseudo-legendary, unlike Chop Chop the Haxorus and the Black 2 Shiny Badge Quest Nuzlocke, put me on the fence. A monstrous mon with a higher base stat total than most legendaries would have made it more challenging to pick Thundurus. Regardless, I still want to use it and I plan the upcoming fights to be very diverse among my members. Just because our dragon's bigger doesn't mean the grind stops though. Somewhere along the grind I was able to get Pokerus in my Pokemon as well. It's fitting that the last grind I managed to get such a rare accomplishment after both the Nuzlockes turned up with no random shinies or Pokerus. We don't really need Pokerus since we already doped our Pokemon enough to get banned from family gatherings for life, but neat! After another 2.5 hours of grinding though, I take a break to cross some other stuff off the list. On Route 14, we let Looker catch a Sage after they give us Bulk Up, but more importantly, I head down to the Abundant Shrine for an even better TM. I grab some random other items on the way, and then we secure the Flamethrower TM. But that's not all. Just up the shrine, there's another cool TM I wanted to make use of too, Trick Room. At this point, I got really distracted and started exploring a bit. The postgame does open up a lot of content, so I got a little bit carried away. After cruising through the Dream Yard and Wellspring Cave, I find myself in the Desert Resort, an actually relevant location for Nuzlocke progression. In the Relic Castle, we can maneuver all the way down and end up climbing a sand tower to the ruins. These ruins have a surprise encounter with a Plasma Grunt, but we dusted him and we kept moving. On the other end of the ruins, we can climb some stairs and reach the Earthquake TM. This one is arguably the most important of them all, glad I snatched it. I then take some detours again, and I really forgot how fun exploring the region really was. I go to Lostlorn Forest, Cold Storage, and finally wind up on Route 6, and after grabbing the Poison Jab TM up the river, we go straight to Mistralton Cave. This area has been available for a while, so we have no difficulty fighting off all the trainers. Once we head all the way to the back of the 3rd floor, we can challenge Cobalion. Alright, never mind. But actually, we pick up the Rockslide TM, which is instrumental for our upcoming matches. While the TM offers big rock coverage, the 90% accuracy is really scary. So I head to Castelia City, where a nice gentleman offers us a really important item, the Wide Lens. This was only possible because I traded with 5 different other games, so take that as you will, but I wanted to use this item for its consistency. You might remember this drill. Juice needs to get suited up, so we go to Pinwheel Forest and find a Venipede, who conveniently poisons us on the very first turn. With almost all the preparations ready, I realize I'm a bit short on the crucial citrus berries I may need. For efficiency's sake, I pick up a Compound-Eyes Joltik in Chargestone Cave, teach it Thief, and then head to Route 1. I rob Autono for about a half hour until I have a good bunch of berries on hand. Nice. One of the last things I have to do is head to Mistralton City. Here, the first order of business is to teach Jello Recover, which could be useful in the clutch if we need it. Then, I steal the Aerial Ace TM from some Mistralton kids that forgot all about it on the runway. Massive W stealing from kids. After a long move rearrangement session, I'm proud to present the final team for the final battles of the Nuzlocke. Puff with U-Turn, Flamethrower, Outrage, and Crunch. Juiced with Superpower, Rock Slide, Earthquake, and Facade. Home Slice with Aerial Ace, Brick Break, Iron Head, and Night Slash. Steal Yo Girl with Aerial Ace, Iron Defense, X Scissor, and Iron Head. I Want My Board with Superpower, U-Turn, Brave Bird, and Aerial Ace. And Jello with Trick Room, Psychic, Rest, and Recover. Just like my previous Elite Four runs, I want to use my most underutilized team members to make it happen this time around. I don't plan on using any stat boosting moves either, and I plan out fights meticulously around them to allow for more interesting gameplay. But the real question is, can I still hinder myself and go deathless? The truth lies behind 5 trainers with fights as stacked as a Pringles can. But we got an appetite. Let's go to work. His name is Grimsley, and so are his chances of winning. I made sure my members were ready to take on his dark types, starting with the pseudo-legend himself. While we don't have quite enough attack to fully take out the lead shark, we can guarantee the kill with a bug gem boosted U-turn to start the battle off right. That's a lot of hyphens. A non-stab move can definitely do a lot of damage with the right tool set. The shark goes down and we draw first blood. With one down, Grimsley chooses his mon based on my switch. He goes right into Scrafty after I choose the board. Unfortunately for the Scrafty, the board has unmatched Russian strength. Never has Grimsley seen a braver board than this. We take a kill cleaner than Grimsley's wrist game. The follow-up is Drapion. This mon also has some pretty solid moves against me, and I'm not sure why I didn't U-turn for some extra chip. No matter, Juiced is ready to tank the Thunderfang on the switch. The poison eliminates the possibility of getting paralyzed and also powers up our Guts ability for the next turn. We eat a Poison Fang and then Earthquake exploits the Scorp's only weakness. 3 down. Leopard is the move on the switch, but we got a pretty sweet counter for this one. We swap to Jello on the switch to take the fake out, and then we start the RNG roulette. Attract is going to be a little bit of a roadblock for our plan, but my counter plan is to just swerve around the roadblock and hope I don't get hit by oncoming traffic. I try to set up Trick Room, and Leopard eventually crits me and puts me at mid-health. I try to get off a recover, and thankfully it goes through. Finally, after eating a bit more, I get the Trick Room up, and the Queen is ready to throw down. Steal Yo Girl is in off the switch, and she's gonna wreak some havoc. Leopard goes down to a single X-Scissor, and Grimsley is prepared with the Crocodile next. Intimidate would certainly be an issue for normal Pokemon. Unfortunately, we got the naughtiest bug known to man, and a massive attack stat to boot. And with just one more to go, a Ditto matchup is in order. Bisharp comes out from Grimsley, so we naturally follow suit. This seems a little bit familiar. A Brick Break to the chops gives us the first win against the Elite Four. The first matchup was pretty free, and I'm glad I was able to give a showing of all my members. To be absolutely fair, I do have the most resources available to me this late in the game, and it really shows in the monster team I was able to build. Let's see how our monsters face up against the next Elite Four demon. Marshall wants the smoke, and I think we got just that. This time around, Breloom is the lead, and we tech a Lumberry to make sure we get out of the lead matchup unscathed. Effect Spore is the thing, always check your opponent's abilities, kids. Aerial Ace is the choice pick from the board to save recoil though. Speaking of abilities, Sock is trying to get sturdy. Why did I write that? Unfortunately, you're not that guy, pal. I can only allow Rockchamp to be that guy, pal. He's the only one that can get sturdy, pal. The board uses U-turn and Sock can no longer get sturdy, rendering his dance moves useless. Puff, on the other hand, can bust quite the move. Off the U-turn, we eat a Stone Edge and thankfully dodge the crit. An itemless Acrobatics at level 74 is more than enough to secure the kill, and Sock gets banned right from TikTok for his lack of sturdiness. Next up is Mienshao, which is mostly threatening. For the most part. I mean marginally threatening, kinda spooky, a bit scurry. He do be kinda shivering timbers though. Puff ain't scared. No high jump kicks for you. Throw is the follow-up. Puff needs to pivot, so U-turn is my go-to. On the switch, Jello jiggles his way out of a superpower, and Throw regrets his life decisions. Yet again, he makes another blunder, earthquaking on the switch as the board comes out once again to reveal his bravery to the masses. Quite the showing. With 2 more fighters to go, the board isn't done yet proving his bravery. Despite the HP drain from his brave efforts, I calced to make sure beforehand that he'd be okay. The Conch is down for the count, and the Croak got the smoke. Marshall, in shambles, admits defeat. That marks the halfway point for the Elite Four battles. We're on the right track, and with the levels we've gained from the first 2, we have a distinct level advantage now. After equipping some different items, we're about to put our advantage to the test. Stick to the plan. Caitlyn has some of the bulkiest Pokemon yet, and we're ready to meet that bulk with our raw attacking power. Up first is Musharna, which can be pretty annoying if it isn't taunted, but I opt to power through it. Our Brave Bird does a solid chunk, and Musharna uses Hypnosis. I equipped a Chesto Berry for this though, and an outsped Musharna has nowhere to run before we chip the rest of it with U-turn. Despite us being threatened with a powerful Focus Blast, Home Slice is our pick to counter Reuniclus. With the boost of the Dark Gem, we can ensure a Night Slash knockout against the less sparkly Jello. Metagross is the real tank of the team. With an amazing moveset, it has a lot of coverage against my team. I pivot first into the board, which Metagross uses Earthquake against Home Slice for. Then, I U-turn chip Metagross for some extra damage, as Metagross picks the run move again, using Zen Headbutt into Home Slice once more. I continue the cycle and the board is back out. We stick with the plan and U-turn out for some more chip. Home Slice comes back out on another Zen Headbutt. Finally, Puff is able to show off his special attacking prowess. A flame to the dome is enough for a kill, but we hit the crit anyways. Done deal. Next out is Sigilyph. It's a little fast but still frail and vulnerable. particularly vulnerable to Crunch. Bronzong is out next, which always has Levitate. Flamethrower is the answer yet again, providing a clean 2-shot by the Bronze Boy after tanking a Flash Cannon in between. Nice. And with that, Caitlyn's last Pokemon is out to play. But the Goth Girl is no different from the rest. A final Crunch is just enough to finish her off, marking our win against the 3rd Elite Four member. Almost there. After teaching over some moves and preparing a final set of items, our our team is ready to go. Despite having 2 phenomenal Dark types on my team, Chantal still has the bulk to spook our team into some non-guaranteed roll shenanigans. Challenging her last out of the Elite Four allows me to solidify some kills with my higher level mons at this point. We start off by leading with the board, who Brave Birds to chip half of Cofagrigus. After eating a Psychic, I debate using Shadow Claw to save some health. I rip a bird anyways though, seeing as I'm gonna let my other member take the stage in a sec. With Frostlass coming in, I gotta be ready to use my faster Pokemon to take it out. I pivot into Home Slice, who can come in and eat the baited Blizzard, but Frostlass whiffs it anyways. Aspire Berry for nothing apparently. Regardless, we pivot again into Jello because we always live a crit Shadow Ball. I probably could have saved a pivot in there, but finally we arrive at our last pivot. Puff comes out and he's gonna dish back all that damage we just took. A Crunch takes out the Snowy Sweeper. Next up is Golurk, which is unfortunately too tanky for Puff to deal with safely. We start off with a U-turn, which can chip it just enough to make a Crunch guaranteed. All we have to do is bait a Hammer Arm, switch into Reuniclus, eat the proposed Hammer Arm, go back into Puff, eat the proposed Shadow Punch, and the rest is history. The follow-up is Jellicent, which can proc Curse Body if we get unlucky. The nice part is Crunch is more than enough to do it in, and just like that, we're good to keep sweeping. Drifblim is next, which despite its bulky appearance, can't handle the Crunch either. It also has an annoying ability though, Aftermath, so I'm glad I had enough health to take it out at this point. Sweet. And finally, the last Pokemon of the Elite Four that we face is Chandelure. This one's for Aquamono. A solid sweep. I'm glad I was able to utilize my resources and level cap to play so safely and with so many cool pivots. I'll definitely be missing their battle music though. With them defeated, there's just one more obstacle before the Nuzlocke is completed. A new fierce foe unlike any other, with some deadly Pokemon we've never faced before. We saved the world once in his place, and now he wants to return the favor in a fight for the champion title. For all of the marbles, it's time for the final battle of the Nuzlocke. Here we go. Alder has quite the roster, leading it off with one of the fastest Pokemon ever. Without any real chance of outspeeding it, Juiced is going to be our stand-in. Excelgor can't seriously injure the Conch, and let's just say our Guts ability can pack a mean punch in retaliation. Excelgor opts to use me first, which copies our selected move and goes before us. Unfortunately, the Conch is quite the defensive monster, and eats it for breakfast. The wallop to follow was nothing short of expected. One down. Escavalier is the next bug to go. I do love Alder's taste, I gotta say, but even a level below Escav, Juiced is barely fast enough to land the biggest superpower you've never seen. That's Raps for bug number 2. The incoming Moth is one of the most difficult Pokemon, up there with Hydreigon, that I've had to deal with so far in the Nuzlocke. With a glaring weakness, it makes up for it with phenomenal speed, amazing coverage, a busted boosting move, and a cool design too, to be honest. Juiced does have Rock Slide, but he gets outsped and can't take the heat. Our Hydreigon though can absorb the heat without bending. A massive overheat comes through, crippling Volcarona's special attack and giving us more outs. With a Wide Lens acquired and Rock Slide taught, however, there's only one out we need. Without even adhering to the level cap of 77, I'm relieved I was able to hit and one-shot. We're definitely not out of the woods yet though. On the switch is Bouffalant, which also has some crazy coverage and threatens our team in more ways than you'd think. A U-turn from Hydreigon does some nice chip, baiting the Mega Horn from Bouffalant and tanking it with the board himself. The board can't do nearly enough damage with his go-to Brave Bird, but I was able to give him superpower and keep it up until this point. With the bird's massive attack set and being able to outspeed, it does the trick, and Alder just has 2 Pokemon left. Next up is Vanilluxe. While we are debuffed, we still outspeed, so we can chip and dip with U-turn. This baits Blizzard, but thankfully Jello is the tankiest gelatin alive. Only this time, a dodge saves us a fair chunk of health. This begins the tank stare down, where Vanilluxe sets up his light screen and we gain speed control with Trick Room. Jello can fire off some massive psychic damage, and we are able to heal off recover damage in return. Better yet, we have a berry to make sure Freeze Cheese doesn't destroy our plan. Eventually, after dodging a couple crits, I'm able to recover up and stall out all the blizzards. This makes Vanilluxe use Flash Cannon, so after getting up another Trick Room, a final Psychic does the job. Druddigon is the final Pokemon, and unfortunately Jello needs to switch out. Steel Yo Girl is the pivot of choice, eating a payback. However, Druddigon still poses a massive threat, so I switch back into Reuniclus and tank the superpower. A now nerfed Druddigon, we go back into Steel Yo Girl one final time. This time around, Druddy sees Outrage is doing more damage, so, tanking it, we can then get off an X-Scissor that forces Alder to heal. I should have recognized this, but instead I go to Jello to potentially soak a superpower. Druddy is still -1 though, so Home Slice is going to have to finish it off. An Outrage comes through on the switch, and I get a little excited. 1 Iron Head goes through. Thankfully, Druddy's still locked into Outrage. You know what that means. Outspeeding, I throw the final Iron Head, and rough skin damage isn't enough to knock out Home Slice. It has been done. GG's, Alder. At a final time of 523 hours and 49 minutes, I can only begin to think about how much went into this save file. As the credits roll, I have a couple more members I wanted to give shoutouts to. Puff. He was able to show his true potential in this episode and deserves all the credit he's getting. Puff is the stuff, and I feel really bad about using a pseudo-legend now. On the flip side though, get body Volcarona. Puff was useful when he needed to be, so I'm glad a quick shiny could put in such incredible work. Last but certainly not least, I want my board as the clutchest last member to ever be in a Nuzlocke. The board definitely made a name for himself, to the extent where you could even go so far as to say that the bird could be in fact the word. I really wrote that out in the script, yikes. Anyways, he's a brave and lean aviary machine, and I'm so glad I got him on the second phase. Unforgettable member. Once again, I want to shout out Aquamono for his true bravery and sacrifice in episode 9, and although he didn't get a chance to fight in this episode, you bet he would have tried his best to make an impact. Press F to pay respects, or go into full screen mode if you haven't already. Regardless, the Mono is never alono. He had his team with him. They fought with their friend, and they fought to the end. I'll miss you. Damn bro, why'd my script writing get so sad? Dub in hand and champ shinies at my command, I had some final words to mark off my last Nuzlocke finale for a while. First of all, you can't even begin to understand how good it feels after doing self-buffing moves through the Black 2 Elite Four, literally substitute strats through the Black 2 Elite 4 round 2. You don't even know how good it feels to beat Elite 4 round 2 in white with no Alder level cap. Everything was under leveled compared to that Volcarona. But to have a deathless, clean, pivoting, one-shotting Elite 4 round 2 for my white version, this is probably like a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me. To have almost 2 years of hard work and effort accumulate into 2 days worth of grinding, just like brainstorming for the fights. I put a lot of time into this. It took almost 2 years to actually finish it, but I was really excited to do this. So hopefully you understand. And finally, thank you very much for watching. It has been an absolute pleasure. It's been real. That'll do it. A massive thank you to all my supporters, shiny hunters, Nuzlockers, Pokemon fans, and non-Pokemon fans. It's been a pleasure. And yes, expect an epilogue in the future. Can't guarantee when, but I'm excited to make it happen. Last time this time. With all that said, I really hope you enjoyed this last episode, and thank you so much for watching.